My name is Ahmed Al Alawi. As some of you might already know, I'm an Egyptologist. I spent 22 years of my life studying not only the ancient periods of Egypt, but the modern periods as well. Blacks come in different shades in Africa, and the Egyptians were just light skinned blacks, a claim often said by African Americans who claim to be Egyptian.
We journey across the dunes and the sweltering sands of the Sahara to bring you stories of struggle, survival, and hope.
The hottest place in Africa. Even rain is a very rare commodity. With an average degree of 37 Celsius, the temperature here can reach 50 in a good sunny day. Forget about whatever sun you get exposed to in the beach. The sun here can be fatal to your head if left exposed all day. So if you always wondered why men have to wear that headscarf in Arabia, I don't think that will be a mystery anymore. Today, men are liberated from peasant work and hard labor. Men can work indoors now and even have time left to stay home and watch TV. Imagine being an ancient Egyptian at those times. It doesn't matter if you're rich or poor. It doesn't matter if you pass the day on a romantic boat or pass the day working on the fields. Most of your daily activities will be outdoors. In a place and a time where everybody is exposed to the sun, imagine now being an African American living in ancient Egypt. Would you be a light skinned black? The answer to that is in the very images the ancient Egyptians have presented to us. Whenever the Egyptians presented black people living in that same Egyptian climate, nowhere did they present them as quote unquote light skinned blacks. You need to have the intelligence of a snail not to understand the reason why. But I'll explain it anyways. Nobody in ancient Egypt, not as a tourist but growing up working there, would remain in his original skin tone. Everybody's color becomes darker in this climate. If you grow up as a French, for example, in ancient Egypt, your skin will be darkened. If you grow up as a Middle Eastern in ancient Egypt, your skin will be even darker. It will become brown. But nowhere would a black person growing up in ancient Egypt, especially as a farmer, would grow up to be quote unquote light skinned black. Any African American growing up in ancient Egypt would be no different from the people of Sudan today, who also live next to the Nile River. African Americans have a nasty habit of presenting artwork from Nubian tombs and claim them to be Egyptians. The Nubians were indeed black people living in the southern part of the Nile. Despite them living under Egyptian rule and by Egyptian standards, their population to the south of the Nile was minuscule. The differences between Egyptians and Nubians can be easily noticed in the mummies. Afrocentrists have also a nasty habit of comparing mixed race black people with the Egyptians. And since mixed race people are indeed considered black in America, then the typical black person claimed to be Egyptian. Rihanna is a mixed race black with clear Caucasian features, and thus she can pass as Nefertiti, right? But even if we compare the real queen to Rihanna, the difference would still be clear. Former President of the United States, Barack Obama, for example, is a typical black person, yet even he can be considered as white as he can be considered black. Barack Obama had a white mother. Mixed race quote unquote blacks have inherited those Caucasian features they call Egyptian from our European friends. And that would be no different from a black person claiming to be Japanese because of some mixed blacks who inherited Asian features from the Philippines.